Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of
I would like to have a conversation.
Nailed It. And this week, I'm having a conversation with myself, which is kind of weird. I didn't have anyone else in there, so I just had something I wanted to talk about. I saw a post on social media and I thought a dad sort of sharing his struggles. I wanted to chat about it and what I would do if I was in his scenario. That's what I talked about for like 30 minutes. How I would make myself feel, which is what it's all about, isn't it?
But
Who did I talk to? Everyone listening. That makes sense? What are we doing today?
school, and there's a puppet show at my school now.
That's pretty bad. And then you got athletics after school, don't you? Boom. You want to say goodbye?
But
Bye. Hey, which might sound kind of weird. I'm going to fly it solo. Todd's busy today, so he couldn't jump on. And I'll be totally honest, I've been pretty lackadaisy trying to get people in to have conversations because I've been working on other things, and which is okay. But there's something I wanted to touch on today. I was bobbing around in like a dad's group, and I saw a post, and I'm going to read the post out. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm going to read the post out and then talk about what some of the responses were, which were okay, but they were missing like some really key pieces. I'm just saying. Yeah. So I'll just bring the post up and then we can get into it. All right. So this is what the post read. It hit me hard because it was where I kind of was too. The post reads, it's 37, going to be 38 here on the 7th. I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. This is from a dad. I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. I have zero drive for anything. Work, home, kids, wife. Nothing. I have almost zero interest in the things I've enjoyed all my life. I get angry so damn easy and constantly tired. My mood can go from happy, content to pissy and rage in literally the blink of an eye. I feel like all I do is yell. I'm falling apart mentally and emotionally and physically. What the fuck is wrong with me? I have a great job. A beautiful wife has given me 4 amazing boys. Yet all I seem to do is notice the shit that's not being done. I can't even force myself to appreciate what I have. Even today, had a day off work. Could have spent it with the kids. Could have went fishing or hunting. Could have went target shooting, anything. I just sat in my chair, boiling over on the inside. The only times I've spoken, I was snapping at someone. It wasn't until my 5-year-old came in the room and gave me a hug out of nowhere that I kind of snapped out of it. I can't even cry. I physically can't. I've tried. I feel like I'm losing myself. What the fuck? This is a post in a group and there was about 142 comments. And the majority of the comments, like there are some legit things in there. A lot of it was around like, get tested, get on tests, get on testosterone, get tested and get on testosterone. A lot of the comments were around that, which is true. I think like most dads listening, or nearly everybody, when you get to this kind of stage, you should go get tested and make sure everything's sort of lining up. I'm just going to hide that picture so I can talk easily. You definitely should go get tested just to make sure, and just make sure all those things are lined up and take those what ifs off the table. And going back to where I was, probably like around that same age, 37, 38. I just had to shut the gym because of COVID. I've talked about this many times on the podcast, and I think I hit my rock bottom. I was the same. I was really edgy, really quick to anger, really moody, didn't get much joy out of doing anything. Like I knew I was training and everything, and I was just doing that because I knew I needed to. But nothing really just seemed to work. So it took a bit of time, but I'm going to go through like kind of processes of what I would do if I was talking to this person face to face, and like how I would work the systems we built in Space Builders and the Build for Adventure crew to try and help someone while also getting those tests done. So most of the time, well, for me, it was like I didn't really have a clear goal. I didn't really know who I wanted to be. And I've talked about this before, like bound nature, free nature stuff. Like everything he sort of says there is like basically his bound nature is rearing up and just taking over, taking control. And it was happening to me a lot. It wasn't until I sort of create these two personality types that I was able to flip the switch between the two. And that's the most important thing. So when you fall into these kind of feelings and emotions and that state of being, lack of a better word, you can just sort of go, nah, I don't want to feel like this. I want to feel like that, which sounds really weird. It doesn't sound like it's super doable. It's like, yeah, whatever, like Tiki, just flick a switch. But it takes time to build it in, but it does work. It's been the best thing I've learned in probably the last 3 years. So it's like the first step is like, we go, cool, what's the North Star? Like, where do you want to go? And what does that look like? I have something to shoot for. So creating a North Star is probably the most important thing you do. So you build that North Star out and just like start getting excited about something in the future. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be anything. And this is where we like choosing the health arc or the relationships arc or the career prosperity arc, story arcs, where it's like build for adventure, be the man, or perfect average day. So once you get the North Star organized, then it's about recapture and reallocate and putting basically it's like seeing what you've got at your disposal to put towards the goal and what kind of environment you're in right now, which is like, what can we recapture time wise? Is there any time we can pinch time, put towards this goal? Is there any money? Can we pinch money and put towards the goal? Like go through and cancel subscriptions and stuff that you just don't use and it doesn't actually work you towards where you want to be anyway. Like the first time I did this, I did this for my business. I found $10,000 over a year. Just some stuff I subscribed to because I thought I needed it and just forgot about. And it's crazy. Every time I do it, I always find stuff. I find thousands of dollars that if I kept doing it, it'd be over a year, would cost me thousands of bucks. Got rid of it. And I could repurpose that towards the actual goal. So recapture and allocate time, money, and then attention. Where your attention goes, energy flows. So we want to make sure we're putting our focus on the right stuff and getting aligned with it. So for me, it was like getting realigned with my build for adventure framework of like getting by 45 minutes of training in every day, changing the intensities and stuff. Like that's just how, for me, to help myself feel good, do 45 minutes every day. It could be like going for a very long walk with the dog, or it could be an actual workout in the gym. Most of the time, and it's like 45 minutes workout, 10,000 steps and walking the dog. If I hit those 3 things, most of everything else kind of falls in place. But yeah, really focus your attention to the most important thing, which is what we want to do with the recapture and reallocate tools. And then we got to go, cool, what does the perfect average day look like? This is step 3. Like, what if you could have your perfect day, perfect average day? This is not like the perfect day of like sitting on the beach drinking margaritas, because eventually you just burn out and stop doing that. Not burn out, but you get frustrated just sitting there doing nothing. Like mental atrophy. You will just be eager to do a thing. Like, yes, we all, like most people will probably need that kind of reset. Go to a beach, chill out at a resort. After about 2 weeks, you'll be wanting to do something because you've recharged yourself. So your perfect average day is more like, how would you live your life every day? Like, I'll go through my perfect average day. I get up at 3 a.m. or 3:30. I do 1 hour of writing or creation like this, like a podcast. And then I do my coaching calls with all my clients, the Build for Adventure crew and the coaches I work with on marketing and systems. I do that till about 7:30. Then I go into dad mode where I get the kids ready for school. Cat's probably done most of the work there. So I'm just getting them organized to get in the car, go to school, and then I get the train. I usually get back from drop off about 9 o'clock. I can train for an hour before I get on my next call. So usually I train for 45 minutes. And then I'll go into calls. So the rest of the day, pretty much from like that 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, I walk the dog in there somewhere to get my 10,000 steps, have lunch, and then the rest of it's like calls and content creation and just doing whatever I need to do around the house. And then 2 o'clock, I go get the kids. 3 o'clock, tools down, no more work stuff, and I'm just in dad mode for the rest of the day. Go to bed 7. I can live like that for a very long time. And when you write this down on paper and get really clear on your perfect average day, it's not like it really feels good. Like you're just doing it because you enjoy just showing up for the days you got. So that's the kind of framework you want to get to. And this is the way I would coach this guy. I'd be like, cool, what's your North Star? What do you really want to do? Like maybe for him, he's just like, I just don't want to feel shit again. So that's the goal. We work towards that. We go North Star, recapture, reallocate, time, money, attention. And then what does a perfect day look like if you could choose? And what do you want to be working on? So that's the first step, like the first frame. And then we go into what we call building the hero. This is what I do with my clients one-on-one all the time. So building the hero is like, first, to build a hero, we've got to find the villain, which is we call the shadow. And this is that bound nature. Like, who is that that version of you that you don't like? Let's name it. Let's figure out what its personality traits are and what its actions are, and create a character that we can name and call out when we're falling into its behaviors and traits and all that kind of stuff. So creating a shadow is probably it's a tough exercise, but it's one of the best things you can do, because then like, oh no, like mine's CJ the boy. And it's not like it's a bad thing. We're not killing this thing. We're not killing the shadow. It's all these traits of stuff you've created as a protective mechanism to protect you from whatever was going on in your life. Mine was all from like stuff that happened in my childhood. And I brought it forward and it's not useful anymore. So you create this shadow and you create like this trigger, this flow trigger, this phrase where when you fall into these behaviors that you don't like anymore, you say a phrase that gets you back out of it. And mine's, it's okay, CJ. I've got this. You can go play. And that allows me to switch into what the next step is, which is the hero, which is like, who do you want to show up as? What is the personality traits of the person that you really want to be? And we create a story around that, which takes into account your North Star goal, like your goal, the perfect average day, the recapture and reallocate. It takes into account all of that, puts it into a story. And you write this story about who you want to be in 12 months, 24 months, 3 years time. You create a really cool story about it. And like my character, like I just had to pick a movie character. I couldn't really think of a name. Aragon. Like I like being adventurous. And I liked the randomness of adventure and the journey part. I love working towards stuff. So that's when I'm always at my best. And when you understand yourself in that sense and you create these character traits of who you really want to be, and sometimes it takes to work with someone one-on-one to do that and unpack it a little bit. But when you do work through that stuff, you create another flow switch. And CJ the boy is like the shadow. His core trait was like escape the feelings, like just get away, switch your brain off, which would lead me to alcohol and overtraining and hiding away, all those kinds of things. So Aragon, hence the story and why I picked him, where he stands up and becomes the king, even though he's really reluctant because he was kind of scared, but he still did it. That's my hero character arc. Like stand up. And that's the phrase I use. when I'm thinking of like wanting to pull back, or I'm showing up as a someone I'm not really wanting to show up as, the flow switches stand up and I come into it. So we've built the shadow version of you, so you know what your less desirable traits are and you can be aware of them. Because once you name it, you get so aware really quickly. And then you build your hero version of the person you want to show up as. Then we work the proof. We go, so what's the proof? To rewrite the story, which is what going with this gent who shared in the dad's group. He needs to collect proof every day that his life is pretty awesome. Like we can say it to our head, but we need to write it down. So the way I like to coach people one-on-one is like we work through the frameworks, and when we build the shadow self, we build the hero version of them. Then we start collecting proof every single day that they're showing up as the hero. And it just changes and keeps rewiring the brain to understand that this is okay. And this is who you want to be. Because the brain doesn't like change. The brain doesn't like change. So when you go, that's why transformations are so huge. You're fighting your brain the whole time because it wants to stay the way you are because it knows it and it thinks it's safe, even though it's keeping you in a shitty situation. We want to change that. So you collect proof by collecting wins, gratitude, journaling. What I do with my one-on-ones is I message them every day, tell them my intentions. They tell me theirs. At the end of the day, they tell me their wins. I tell them mine. And we do a little bit of journaling backwards and forwards, like based off our free nature hero story. And it just constantly rewires the brain. You're constantly collecting wins every day. It just makes you feel good. You're constantly just collecting proofs that you are showing up as the person you want to be. And then your brain just starts feeling good. And if there's anything that we need to do as parents and to lead our kids with, is to find joy again and to feel good. If we can do that, it'll pass down to our kids. Like I've noticed it with Theo. When we're off, he's really off with his autism stuff. So I just constantly keep going back to like, I need to do whatever I can to feel good. And yes, shitty things will happen, but I can feel good in a shitty situation. It's a choice. And this is where those frameworks will help. The shadow self, the hero you, the proof. That's all about rewriting your story and creating a story that you want to have. Your story. You decide what you want your story to be. And that's what we want to do. And with this guy, that's what I would do with him if I was with him in a one-on-one setting. Rewrite his story. What is it you want? What is the story you want to tell? Because the story he's telling is obviously not good. Like he's not enjoying it. So let's rewrite it. Let's change it. It takes work. Like, yeah, you're going to be battling stuff because he doesn't feel joy in anything at the moment. It's like, what did you want your life to look like? And let's just start doing it and collect proof that doing it. And that's where it comes to the next stage, like the facilitation hierarchy, we call it. It's like, okay, now we've got all these stories. We've got this idea of what we want to do. How do we actually do it? And we use the facilitation hierarchy to do it. And I've taken tools from all these different books, like Atomic Habits, Elastic Habits, all these things, and turned it into like a framework where it allows you to show up every day and collect wins every day. It's based off like your traffic light score. So traffic lights, I learned from Dan John. I've talked about it before. So what we want to do is like when you're going on a transformation, I do this with all my one-on-ones, the Built for Adventure dads, the one-on-one performance mindset coaching guys, and the business coaching I do with coaches. You want to be able to win when you're a red light. So if we go through the lights, red light is like the worst possible scenario, the worst day you can possibly think of. It's absolutely shit. Think of your worst day. You just crashed your car. The kids just pooed in the back seat at the same time. All that kind of stuff. One of the kids is breaking up. The red light is like the really high stress days. Yellow is like where all parents kind of live year round. It's like just generalized stress. Kids are sick. You've got to take them to after school activities, all that kind of stuff. You're just juggling a lot of stuff. And green light is that magical time where you don't have to worry about anything. Food's taken care of. Like when you go on a holiday or a resort. the kids that get off like with care at the resort. You could just do whatever you want to do yourself. That's a green light zone. Most parents live in the yellow. But what we want to do, we want to be able to get results at each zone. Most coaching that I see and that people get only work if you're a green zone, maybe if you're a yellow, but generally it's always green. And most people think they need to be in the green zone to make it work. If you catch yourself saying things like, I need to wait for the right time to start this, that's green zone thinking. You're waiting for everything to magically be awesome, which is never going to be. The philosophy you should have, or we all should have, is like, cool, I need to be able to collect win and collect proof that I'm showing up as the person I need to be, even if I'm a red. So we call it a safety net. So we make whatever we do so simple and so easy to show up for. You can do it on the worst of days. Knowing that, you can always do more. We need a fallback plan, a safety net that you just don't drop below. And a safety net just guarantees get to the goal eventually. It might just stretch the timeline, but you'll get there. So the facilitation hierarchy is based off that. There's all these tools and frameworks like the stress card, the traffic light system, but really it's like you need to be able to win in a red, yellow, and green zone. Green's easy. It's everything magical. You just do everything. Yellow, it's just finding the dose of whatever it is you're doing. Let's say training. My yellow zone is like 45 minutes a day. I'm going to do 45 minutes a day, every day, no worries. Really bizarrely, if I go to 50 or 60 minutes, I'm like, I have to figure this out. I have to sort of make sure this kind of works. It takes a little bit more effort. But 45 minutes, no worries at all. To the point of like, if I do 30 minutes, I will keep going until I get 45 because it's just there, my brain's been wired in. And some people it's 20, some people it's 5. Like it's whatever your yellow zone is like, what can you do nearly every day, 80% of the time? And the red zone is like the very, very small version of that when you're absolutely cooked. The day is absolutely shit and you just need a fallback plan. That's what you go with. Okay, so we build these frameworks. So we've got the North Star, we capture and reallocate, build your perfect average day. So it's building like an idea of what you want your life to look like. And then it's like, cool. The shadow is like your less desirable self. Let's name it, not shame it, but name it and let it go play. Let it go sit on the shelf. We don't need those tools anymore because we've got the hero, which is the next step. With your hero self, this is the person we want to bring forth every day. Makes you feel good. You feel joy again. You feel good about what you're doing. Collecting proof is about telling your brain that this is the new person you want to be and it's safe to be this person. And then your brain will gradually start allowing you to show up as that person. So we want to collect proof that. Facilitation hierarchy is like how we collect proof across the traffic light zones, whether we're in a red light, we're in a red light, or a yellow light, or green light. Then the next step is the transformation hierarchy. I got this idea from Nick Peterson from the Bumpers book. And the idea is like it's a pyramid. On any transformation, no matter what you're doing, whatever you're trying to do in your life, it will go through this pyramid. Now I've adapted for what I do. The concept is the same of like the base of the pyramid is enough. Show up enough. This is why I talk about the art of showing up a lot. The first step is you have to show up enough. You need to do work so you can see what the best things to do are. So the first step, if we're just got to show up enough. And I always use the rule of like 90 days, which is what I got from Nick Peterson and Laurel Porter, who is one of Nick Peterson's proteges, like it's like a better word. But it's like 90 days of data. We need data to see what works, but we need to do the work for a fair chunk to see what the best things are. And most people there's things you can do to get results quicker than 90 days. You want to do 90 days, like commit to something for 90 days. So do it enough. That's the first step. The next step is find the right balance. And then, so through those 90 days, you find the right amount of each different component. So how much strength training you should do. It was for myself, it's like, how much strength training should I do? How much long distance running? How many like little CrossFit type adventure wads that I call them do I do? How much rest do I get? How much sleep? Like, what's the right balance? Like, how intense or how low intensity should I make it? How much food should I eat? What's the right balance of me to allow me to show up as the best version of me? Which leads into the third tier on the pyramid, which is autopilot, which is like, once you do enough, they figure out the right balance. It's like, cool. How do we put this in the autopilot? So you can do it every day. The 45 minutes of training well, not analogy, but the 45 minutes of training I do is kind of like autopilot for me. It's just built in. I'll get injured. I'll come back and start small at 5, 10, 20. But I get back to 45 now within like 2 weeks because it just feels good. But it feels good to me. And for some people I coach, it's like 20 minutes. Some people it's 5 and they just love walking. It's whatever that thing is. So autopilot is like all the stuff you can show up for without using any willpower or motivation to do it. And then the next step is novelty, excitement, fun. So you're getting results of what you're already doing with the first 3, enough balance, and then autopilot. Novelty is like, what can you throw in, spice it up? Have fun with it. You don't have to get to this stage of the transformation. You pretty much got a transformation once you get it. You just got to show up enough on autopilot to get the goal because it works. Everything we've built through it is going to get you to your goal. And then novelty is like throwing events in. Like for me, it's throwing events in and mucking around with it. The testing out how much I can get away with my food without putting on weight. That's novelty for me. I love playing around with those kinds of things, which is kind of, oh, it sounds kind of weird, but I love testing that stuff out. And different workout programs, all that kind of stuff. Knowing that, I can fall back to my autopilot, which is like my baseline, my return to anti-fragility. It's like, it keeps me anti-fragile, where my autopilot frameworks are. And novelty is just to muck around with. And above novelty is like teach for a true transformation. Like once you've gone through those steps, the last part is pass it forward, teach it to somebody. It helps your brain click save on whatever it is you're learning. And it helps you understand yourself even better. Like you learn best when you teach other people. And it took me a while to realize that when I was coaching a lot of dads and a lot of people in the gym. That was probably the component that I should have brought in earlier, was like a lot of people got into that autopilot stage and that novelty stage really quickly. They just needed another step to go to if they wanted to, which is become a teacher. Teach it to your kids, teach it to your friends, just pass the knowledge on. It's part of like the whole tribe mentality. We learn something, we pass it on to the tribe. It's been kind of missed. So that's the transformation hierarchy. And then literally the last step in what I call the mastery framework, which is like how I get anyone to create a transformation and becoming a guide. So once you go through that journey, the last step is becoming a guide yourself, guide other people through their own transformations in a way that works. So I wanted to share that for everybody is like as a tool. If you would like the cheat sheet, I've got the cheat sheets on every single one of those steps. I can send them through as just a 1-page cheat sheet so you can see what they look like and how they work, and you can start working on it yourself. And if you do want to help working through it, just reach out to me. We work one-on-one, and we've got a course that you can work through as well on that. But that's how that guy that I mentioned at the beginning of the potty, how actually struggling with everything, that's how I would work through with him, when I did it the first time, my goals and North Stars weren't very big, but they get bigger and bigger the better you feel. So I've gone through those frameworks myself over and over and over again. That's why I'm talking about them with everybody, because they just work so well, because I got taught them from my coaches, my mindset and performance coach, my psychologist, all that stuff that I've gone through from alcoholism to all the other things I'm working through, depression and things like that, making myself feel good about the way I parented Theo before we realized he was autistic, which was the way I parented was just terrible. It just made it worse. And that hit hard. There was so much grief with that. So I had to work through these frameworks to start feeling good again around that. And like, hell, I want a shot now and change the story. Because we don't want to walk around with shitty stories in our head. We won't, like, if anything, we should just feel good. And if you're interested in learning how to feel good again and have these conversations that no one's willing to have, I've got some coaching slots open for one-on-ones and cohort coaching. If you are interested, just reach out, send me a message, comment on the Substack post, go to the Build for Adventure Instagram, or find me on social media. I'll put all the links in there. Yeah, reach out. If you would like the cheat sheets, message me, I'll send them through here and we can have a conversation. Yeah, thanks for listening. It was a solo ride, but it was still fun. And I'll chat to you guys next week. See you.